Hi, new video. So, is the title clickbait? Let's test it out. This is called gesture drawing and is very different from figure drawing or studies, and it's something that will legit bring an extra level of life into your characters pretty much as soon as you apply what I talk about in this video. Right now you can make your drawings feel more alive, no matter if they're human, animal, animated object or whatever else, and no matter your skill level or the level of realism that you're aiming for. Usually I stay away from such broad and vague concepts, like there isn't a magic pill that will be good for all artists, except that there is actually. So, what does gesture drawing mean exactly? As you know, in art you must learn anatomy, perspective, light, color, composition, a bunch of stuff that are fundamental to grasp if you want the ability to draw something out of your mind and have it actually match what you envisioned. Gesture drawing, it's actually none of that. Gesture drawing is not about technique. I would even say good gesture drawing doesn't require you to already be a good artist or any artist at all. Anyone can do it well. The only trick is to actually think about it, to put aside all your technique or preconceptions about how things should look, and to draw for the sole purpose of communicating an idea, an emotion, an action. Imagine drawing was our only way to communicate. No speaking, no texting. Do we need to spend 10 hours to communicate what we ate this morning? I'm talking about, those super realistic still lives with bowls of fruit and whatever else, the kind of paintings you find in museums, you know what I mean. Let's say I want to say horse. I could do this, it doesn't take much time, and yet what do most artists do? Well, you see, we're not social and we communicate very poorly. Our own skill gets in the way. So, how long should you spend on a message? Meaning to do a gesture drawing. Pixar story artist Alex Wu recommends 20 to 30 seconds. That's it. You made a mistake and it doesn't look right, just start over. The point is, you have a subject in front of you, communicate what you see. What is the pose about? What is the character communicating? What is the most efficient way to convey that? I will create a 30-minute gesture drawing practice session that you can watch to draw along with me. So, like, if you subscribe, you might get notified when that video is out. Now, a few things about how to do gesture drawing properly. First off, action lines. Basically, you simplify the pose to an extreme level by breaking it down into no more than a few lines. And your action line is the best line, is the longest and the most expressive. It usually lets our eye travel from one side of the character to the other, guiding us to the most important part. Often it will be from one foot to the head or to one or both hands. Note, this line has little to do with anatomy. It can travel from one side of the body to the other. Sometimes the action line will match the spine, but it doesn't have to. It can very well travel diagonally through the body, and there's always multiple ways to interpret a pose, so the same pose could have different action lines depending on the way you interpret its meaning. The action line has a direction. It's getting us to the most relevant part of the body depending on what we're trying to communicate. If we're communicating a kick, the most relevant part would be the foot. Otherwise, it will usually be the head or the hand or hands. Sometimes though, it can be the legs or the torso itself or, pretty much any body part. You can represent this by having the line grow in intensity as it gets closer to the center point. Detail. You can add definition to your gesture drawing if it helps you convey what it is about. You can use one line to represent a limb, or you can use two lines. Your lines can have an angle at the knee and elbow, for example, or it can be a continuous curve from one end to the other. A line can go through the center of the body or limb, or it can be the outline of that body or limb. For the hands and feet, you can skip them, or you can draw them as a continuation of the limb, or instead you can give them a certain amount of detail. whatever suits the message you are communicating and how important that body part is in the set context. For the head, you can leave it as a line or you can make it into a circle. If relevant, you can add additional detail to indicate the direction it's facing or the angle of the chin or the hair if that's playing a big part. But still, try to keep it as simple as possible. Only add something if it's necessary. Okay, a pose will always have a certain relationship with the space around it. For example, the perspective on the ground plane will often be relevant in helping us understand the pose. So feel free to introduce a simple perspective grid to give your character something to stand on. Extrapolation. You don't have to draw what you see. You can take the idea, emotion, action you see in the model and apply it to another character. Possibly a character with a completely different anatomy. It's easier to demonstrate this than to explain. My favorite example would be the carpet from Aladdin. It's a carpet, and yet it somehow has the same expressivity as a normal character. Here you can see I draw the same poses on my character, and I make some changes to reflect my character's personality and my own level of flexibility. I decided to take it one step further and do the same thing with a cat. A cat has a fundamentally different body from a human, so I had to make a bunch of choices. For example, if a human is pointing at something with their hand, a cat might be pointing only with its head or with its ears. If a human is sitting cross-legged, that doesn't mean we'd have to break the cat's legs, we'd simply draw an equivalent, balanced, relaxed cat pose. Note, in gesture drawing, what you create is not exactly a sketch, meaning that the next step isn't necessarily to start adding muscle and detailed hands and feet and clothes and whatnot. A good gesture drawing doesn't need to have accurate proportions, so if you start drawing on top without making adjustments, you could very well end up with a broken figure, which doesn't mean your gesture drawing was bad, it just means that it's not meant to serve as a sketch. The point of the gesture drawing is to give yourself a compass, something to aim for when you sketch and paint something. When you're spending 5 to 10 hours drawing your character, rendering every shadow of every fold in their outfit, this little drawing can remind you of what you were aiming for in the first place. I will probably be saying this in every video from now on, but it's of critical importance to know what you're drawing or painting before your autopilot takes over. In this previous video, I explained what to do in the first 30 minutes of a painting, so today I'm showing you what you should do in the first 30 seconds. Well, okay, not exactly. Before starting a drawing, you can try various poses and try to perfect your favorite gesture drawing. But yeah, even then, it won't take you more than 3 minutes to go through a bunch of options and pick your favorite. As I'm making this video, I start thinking, what if you're not convinced? I keep telling you that gesture drawing is good because I believe it, but what if you're still doubting, thinking, well, this is too basic to actually help, I will watch this video so I know what it has to say, but next time I draw, I'll probably do it my own way and I don't need to practice gesture drawing because, well, I understood what it's about, so yeah. Okay, so if that's the case, let's think. What will happen if you don't do gesture drawing? Well, yeah, I'm not talking about you, but an imaginary viewer who maybe starts their drawings like this, and then does this, and then by the time we hit the 30-second mark, we're here, and... And then, by the time we hit the 5-minute mark, I think you get the point. You can see how doing gesture drawing is useful here, and it takes almost no time to do it, so that makes it totally worth it every single time I've done this or every time I started a character drawing, not by making a circle for the head, but by doing action lines instead. Okay, you watched the video to the end, give yourself a pat on the back. Here's some announcement sort of thing. So I made a schedule for YouTube, and every month I'll do one Clip Studio Paint tutorial on that month's theme for tips of the month, one 30-minute practice video where you can follow along with me as I do some practice stuff, one overpaint video, one super technical video about art theory, and one video on a more random topic. So I hope this helps you have an idea about what the channel is about and what you can sub for. I'll update this and add release dates, for example, when I get life figured out some more. Until then, thanks for watching, and we're gonna hit 1,000 subscribers pretty soon, so that's pretty nice, I guess.